Okay, we've all heard about the Falcon 9 SpaceX launch and all of that and the strange anomaly in the sky. What I want to talk about, well, first of all, you guys know kind of what I do is I gather together puzzle pieces from everybody instead of just taking like my own ideas or one person's ideas or a great book or something. I try to gather up everything that I've heard from all these different and oftentimes opposing viewpoints and take all those puzzle pieces and put them all in one place. So this is far from all the puzzle pieces, but this is several puzzle pieces about the anomalies surrounding this event. Okay, so first, one of the things were these orbs. Like, is this some sort of technology that you know how we always talk about the quantum technologies and the, you know, CERN and the opening of these dimensions and the thinning of the veil and all that? Well, surrounding this SpaceX launch, if that's what it is, and we all know, you guys save it, please save it. I've heard the official narrative. We've all heard the press release. Now, the thing is that there are several people in society that can think outside of the boob tube. So just because there is an official narrative released and broadcast to us from this network all around us, don't act like we're too stupid to watch the boob tube. We know the official narrative. Here, we want to talk about things that go beyond, you know, we want to think outside of the box. We want to talk about things that go beyond the press release. So the things I want to point out here, one of them are these orbs, these plasma type orbs that were seen from all sides. This was taped on all sides. So this just shows one. You'll see it going up right here through here. But there were objects reported all around it. And I'm not talking about the objects inside it. Those we'll talk about in a minute as well. Okay, now look back here towards the tail. See this going up? Okay, now see this like kind of reminds me here when it starts spinning of the Norway spiral, which Russia had said was a rocket out of control. But then the press release on this says that the reentry rocket was reclaimed. So here's just a few seconds of that Norway spiral, and I'm just going to throw it in there. You know, the official narrative on this was Russia was a failed missile and it spun around, and that's what created that effect. But notice the color and the teardrop sperm looking shape of it, and then this ball of light in the middle of this technology. So I thought I'd just throw it in, you know, in a pile of puzzle pieces with these things we're seeing in the sky. At least technologically, they may be related, even if they are just missile launches. That looks like blue beam to me. Looks like it's coming from the ground. Okay, now here's a few second clip from Richie from Boston, and he points out something about this little light in the middle, and you'll see why I'm throwing this clip in, because afterwards I'm going to show some older, much older clips, so I'll get to that.
This thing right here stays in the exact area the entire time. We've seen these things before. They've shot these, or however they produce these. Don't forget that this happened directly after the winter solstice. And if you look at this thing right there, it looks exactly like an angel. Watch this. You see what I'm saying? Exactly like an angel.
Okay, now when Richie said that about the angel in the center, it sparked a thought in my mind about these ancient Nephilim races. And this is a fresco from the 1300s, crucifixion fresco. And it clearly shows these interdimensionals, you know, we call them Nephilims or hybrids or whatever, but these interdimensionals in these teardrop shaped lights or teardrop shaped crafts, you know, we don't really know. But yeah, in the nucleus or in the head here where that light is, you can see that these are actually depicted as people, forms, some sort of entities inside these crafts that are flying through the sky. Okay, you can clearly see here the same type of phenomenon in the sky long before rocketry. In 1937 over Vancouver City Hall. Let's go back and see if I can find the article. Yeah, so here you can kind of see, so like there's the original picture. And you can see it's very similar to what they are saying now is a rocket test, but this was clearly before rocketry. It was clearly before Elon Musk or SpaceX or Falcon 9 in 1937. He wasn't even born yet. So, I don't know. We were already seeing this type of thing in the skies. Is it the back engineering that we've heard so much about, that the people in the know are so far ahead of us and they're back engineering these sort of UFO technologies from these interdimensionals? Is that what we're seeing? I don't know. Maybe Elon Musk did break the time-space continuum. Maybe he went back to 1937 and launched Falcon 9. I'm joking, seriously. But I mean, we don't know what's going on, but something clearly is going on, that these types of technologies predate, where we're at, where humanity is at with this type of thing. So they just called this a UFO, an unidentified flying object back then. Now we call it an identified flying object. It was Falcon 9. So it's interesting to think about anyway. Okay, here are a few more interesting things surrounding this that don't seem to have anything to do with interdimensional or quantum technologies or plasma technologies or anything like that. Um, there seems to be this clip right here is from a test where obviously something very similar, the same shape and everything, technology was deployed in 2015. What's interesting about this, that many people have pointed out about this rocket test, is if they're testing rockets that have to reach Mars, why are they always running parallel with the Earth, forever and ever? Like, why aren't they shooting them up in the air to see, how they would perform with that sort of trajectory? But instead, they seem to move directly across the Earth. Here you can see the date. This is years ago, I think 2015, when it was deployed before, and you can Google it and see what the official narrative and everything on that was, probably 10 different ways. And now here's a clip from, I think it's Mr. BB333, about launches in other countries at the same
So
time.
that was a video I took myself that was not far from where we live. And it was truly a sky spectacle. But again, it was just a random SpaceX launch. Not a big deal, right? Well, did you guys know that prior to that launch, and I'm talking just prior to that launch, 1 minute before what I just showed you, and I saw here in Southeast Phoenix at 6:33 p.m., at 5:30 Pacific time is when this actually launched from California, so they say. Japan launched a rocket 1 minute prior to the launch out of California that I saw over here in Southeast Phoenix. This rocket was launched into space, or low Earth orbit, wherever they say it's going to go, to the southeast, just like the rocket that flew over my house to the southeast. This was launched 1 minute prior to the rocket that was seen over LA and Southeast Phoenix on December 22nd.
Now, this is actual footage of what was taped over Russia at the exact same time. Well, not the exact same time. These happened within 48 hours of the Japan and the US. And I think there were 5 different events in other countries simultaneously around the winter solstice and Christmas. But this is the actual footage in Russia that just happened. And it looks a lot like the SpaceX Falcon 9 launch. So that's curious. Now, this is official NASA footage from 1996. This is the STS-80 Space Shuttle Columbia mission. And oddly enough, see, you can see the same sperm-shaped crafts materializing and going. Anyway, what I think is interesting about this is, again, it was the same time of year. I don't know if I pointed that out about the 1937 clip over Vancouver. That happened at the same time during the winter solstice. This STS mission that took this footage was supposed to launch end of October, but was postponed and launched the end of November, through the beginning of December, through December. So, and they captured this footage supposedly. Now, going back to the more down-to-earth theories, you guys probably remember that mystery missile launch off the coast of Southern California several years ago. I think it was 2010. And the reason I'm bringing this up is about these missile launches and how they feed us these false narratives all the time. This is for those people who are like, they said it's SpaceX. What's you guys' problem? It's because of things like this. Right here, I want to show you that they first told us, well, first everybody denied they knew what it was. Then all of a sudden it was a mirage. It was just a cloud. Then they said, oh, it was contrails at like under 500 feet off the surface of Earth, which everybody knows contrails from a plane would never do that. Then, it was just one thing after another. Explained. But we know that it wasn't explained. And in fact, it was obviously some sort of beta test for a missile and an EMP. And I'm going to show the news coverage here and how it juxtaposes against an event where a cruise ship in the very same place this was launched lost all power
right now,
that
what
same
looks
exact
like
day.
a mystery missile. The U.S. military saying the American homeland was never in danger, but not saying much more about this after a California TV station captures video of a streaming projectile. You see that right in the middle of your screen? It lit up the nighttime sky and caused a lot of questions to be asked. Steve Santani is live from the Pentagon with more on this story. Steve?
Hi, Jenny. Yes, and those questions are being asked even as we speak because the Pentagon still does not know that there was a missile launch, can't confirm it. If there was one, they don't know who did it or how it happened. So they're making calls now. The Navy's still checking. NORAD and NORTHCOM are still checking to find out what, if anything, happened. The videotape seems to show it, caught by a KCBS helicopter over Los Angeles last night, a giant contrail that would come from a fairly large missile. Now, the possible suspects are Vandenberg Air Force Base, which does do missile launches. They say it wasn't them. Point Mugu Naval Air Station, closer into Los Angeles, which also does missile testing. It wasn't them. So who else could it have been? A Navy ship, a Navy submarine, a private contractor? We checked with the FAA, and they say for there to be a private commercial launch, there has to be a license issued, and no license was issued last night.
Look, this is not an airplane because of the plume and the way you see that plume. Airplanes do not con at sea level or 5,000 feet like that. I spent 35 years flying fighters, and I never saw an airplane con like that. That is a missile. It's launched from a submarine, and you can see it go through a correction course, and then it gets a very smooth trajectory, meaning that the guidance system is now kicked in. It's going at about 45 degrees away from you. That's why you're not seeing a lot of vertical velocity.
General, are you 100% certain?
Sean, I've watched that film 10 times. I've watched 15 other Trident films, SM-3s, Standard Missile 3s, and TLAM launches. I am absolutely certain that that is not an aircraft.
And then mysteriously, at the very same time, November 9th, 2010, here we go again, a Carnival cruise ship in the very same place off the coast of Southern California loses power. So, the cover story is, an engine burned up and, blah, blah, blah. They had no power for 3 days and had to be towed in and all of this stuff. But again, my point is, clearly they lied to us. Clearly that was an EMP test. And it doesn't look like it was the United States testing their missiles to, use EMP technologies to knock out the power on ships, on military ships, I'm sure. But this beta test was done over this cruise ship right there. So, I mean, you can say they're not related, and that's up to you. You are entitled to your own opinion, but I guess that's what I'm getting at with this, saying that this missile launch in Russia and the missile launch in Japan and the missile launch over the coast of California, all within like a day or 48 hours of each other, right here at the Christmas holiday, right at the winter solstice. You can say they're all unrelated, just like you can say this mystery missile launch off the coast of Southern California was completely unrelated to this ship losing power at the very same time. You can believe what you want. All I'm going to do is throw out some puzzle pieces and, take it for what it's worth. But to me, I think that it's clear that this missile off the coast of California was related to the power outage on this ship. And it's clear to me that all three of these missile launches with Japan, Russia, and the United States were not just Elon Musk doing his SpaceX.